Israeli forces have intercepted a flotilla of ships bound for Gaza. So far, the forces stopped nearly 20 ships and arrested about 100 activists. The operation took place off the coast of Cyprus. The 58 ships of the flotilla aimed to break the siege on Gaza and bring humanitarian aid. Israeli forces are transferring the activists to Israel for interrogation. All right, joining me now is Badr Alnoaimi. He is a lawyer, human rights advocate, and co-lead of the Global Sumud Flotilla's legal team, and he joins us now live from Doha. Sir, thank you so much for being on the program. Can I just ask first a point of clarification? What is your understanding of where these ships are? Are they in Cypriot waters or are they in international waters?
Thank you very much for having me, sir. So our flotilla was in international waters at the time of the start of this military aggression and operation against this peaceful humanitarian flotilla. However, we are also within the Cypriot search and rescue zone, which means that Cyprus has a legal obligation in order to render assistance under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea to all vessels that perform distress calls or mayday calls to its Coast Guard.
Okay, so have you been in touch with the Cypriots? Have they given any indication that they might actually do that?
We have been making distress calls since the start of the attack against the flotilla at approximately 7:30 a.m. UTC time. So far, we have not received a response. However, at the same time, I must also note that at the same time as the start of the operation, communication on multiple vessels belonging to the Global Sumud Flotilla were jammed, and so they were unable to make distress calls.
Okay, so it's possible that the Cypriots didn't exactly receive the message then. Badr, you've been on previous flotillas, correct me if I'm wrong, but the most recent in September 2025 you were on. What do you expect will happen over the next few hours?
Well, what we know is happening is based on a historical pattern of violence that is executed by the Zionist regime. We know that they want to stop any humanitarian flotilla seeking to break the illegal siege on Gaza that was imposed on the people of Gaza in 2007, and so we know that they will do everything they can to prevent us from reaching our destination. They will board the ships. They may abduct people from those ships. We know that during the last interception operation that was performed on the 29th and 30th of April last month, they actually abducted people from ships, put them on a prison ship, and some people were subjected to treatment amounting to torture. Then they were handed over to the custody of the Greek state, whereas two people were actually further detained, taken on another military vessel to occupied Palestine. So our fear is that we might see a repetition of the same pattern.
Badr, my colleague Tarek Abu Azum in Gaza City there mentioned the Mavi Marmara, the ship, the incident that happened in 2010 where several people were killed on board. I wonder, given the possibility of things getting ugly and getting deadly, what is the protocol for passengers on board the flotilla when they are boarded by the Israelis? Is there any kind of resistance that those passengers are going to exhibit, or are they just putting their hands up and saying, okay, go ahead and arrest me?
The Global Sumud Flotilla is a peaceful humanitarian initiative that is based on principles of non-violence towards the occupation. And so all of our participants and crew have been trained in non-violent techniques to ensure that we do not give the Zionist regime any excuse to be more violent towards our participants. So we do not engage in any intimidation, in any physical confrontation with the Zionist military, and we adhere to strict non-violence. However, At the same time, as we adhere to strict nonviolence, what we see from the Zionist regime is an escalation of violence in return. They are now, as of the last interception, like I said, they abducted people from ships. They attacked ships using rubber bullets. Some ships were damaged and left adrift at sea with crew still on them while a storm was incoming. This is a gross disregard for human life and a gross disregard for safety. It's just indicative of how these attacks on the flotilla are part of a systematic policy to continue the siege and to continue the starvation of the Palestinian people in Gaza.
All right, Badr Alnoaimi, the co-lead of the Global Sumud Flotilla's legal team, we appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you.